Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving headfirst really into the intersection of psychology and physiology. It's that crucial layer that separates a decent workout from, well, maximum physical adaptation. The source material we've got today is all about maximizing efficiency in the gym, focusing squarely on this concept known as the mind-muscle connection, or MMC.
Right.
Our mission for this deep dive is essentially to give you the shortcut to intentionality. It's about turning your workout time into truly effective results, moving far beyond just going through the motions. We're talking about making every single rep count, every single one, regardless of the exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. And to set the stage, let's maybe pin down the fundamental definition of this mind-muscle connection.
Yeah.
At its core, it's a psychological aspect of training where the focus is entirely on feeling the target muscle working through each repetition, consciously feeling it. It's about achieving conscious and deliberate muscular contraction, prioritizing that internal sensation over, say, just lifting the absolute maximum weight or, relying on momentum.
Okay, so less ego, more feeling.
Precisely. And what's immediately fascinating here, according to the research we've looked at, is the tangible physiological payoff, this mental focus. It acts almost like a dimmer switch for your nervous system. By concentrating, you increase what's called neural drive.
Neural drive,
which basically means you recruit more muscle fibers and activate them more intensely.
Okay.
This makes it significantly easier to isolate specific muscles, ensuring that you are indeed training the muscle you think you are training. That makes your effort, exponentially more productive.
Right, because we've all done curls and felt it more in our forearms sometimes.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of the connection not being there.
So here's where it gets really interesting for me. You, our listener, you're likely already committed to effective training. So why dedicate precious mental energy to this? Why isn't just lifting heavy enough? Our sources lay out, 5 crucial pillars, reasons why MMC isn't just a bonus technique, but maybe foundational.
Yeah, foundational is a good way to put it. Let's walk through those 5 synthesized benefits. The first is maybe the most obvious, but also the most critical. Optimized muscle engagement. Without that conscious focus, other muscles, accessory muscles, or even joints, they often take over, especially when you start to get tired. MMC ensures the primary target muscle is really the one doing the work, the bottleneck. This guarantees quality tissue development and concentrated strength gains, rather than just, dispersed effort.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like making sure all the electrical current goes through the light bulb you actually want to turn on, not getting lost in the wiring.
Exactly. A great analogy.
Yeah.
And that leads us directly to the second pillar, improved form and injury mitigation. When you concentrate internally on the muscle-like feeling, the stretch and squeeze of your chest during a push-up, you are inherently slowing down just a bit. You're paying attention to the mechanics of the movement, the joint path. This deep focus encourages superior technique, and we all know superior technique is probably the single best way to reduce injury risk and promote safe, effective workouts for the long haul.
Decades, hopefully.
Hopefully. The third pillar brings us back to the science. Increased activation. You mentioned neural drive earlier. And this is where it really pays dividends. Mentally engaging the muscle demonstrably increases its activation and recruitment during an exercise. It's not just an analogy to say you are turning up the volume. You are genuinely maximizing the percentage of available motor units that actually fire during that specific set.
Wow.
And this difference in fiber recruitment is often what separates two people lifting the exact same weight, same reps, but getting vastly different results over time.
I really appreciate that clarification. It's not some kind of mystical thing. It's an intentional neurological input you're creating.
Correct.
Now, the fourth benefit seems to touch on something slightly different, beyond just muscle growth. It's enhanced concentration. The sources say MMC forces mindfulness. Is it almost like meditation for lifting? Because it requires you to be fully present, in the moment, not worrying about your email.
That is precisely the connection many people make.
Yeah.
It definitely promotes a state of, focus or flow. By tying your performance to that internal sensation, rather than just external metrics like the clock or the weight on the bar, you dramatically improve your overall mental presence during the workout. And this mental discipline, which you need to feel that contraction deeply, it keeps the workout feeling novel and challenging, even if the weight itself isn't changing much for a bit.
And finally, that intense focus brings us to the fifth benefit, overcoming plateaus. This sounds key for experienced folks.
Absolutely. For the seasoned trainee who has hit a wall, the veterans who feel like they've adapted to their routine MMC can be a fantastic tool. It helps by renewing and restoring that deep muscle engagement. If you suddenly shift your focus purely to the quality of contraction, you force the body to respond differently to a movement it might have previously adapted to and started performing, well, subconsciously.
So you're introducing a new variable, an internal one.
Exactly. A new stimulus without necessarily changing the exercise or the weight immediately.
Okay, so if we kind of wrap up this why section, it's pretty clear. MMC is like the optimization layer on top of your training. It means greater returns on every single moment you invest under the barbell or on the machine or whatever. The goal is maximization, and MMC turns raw movement into intentional, highly focused activation.
Well said. Maximizing that investment of time and energy.
That's powerful stuff. Now, let's shift gears. We understand why the psychological tool is necessary, but let's get into the how. How do we actually implement it? The sources provide a pretty clear, practical roadmap, like a 9-step process, right? To building and maintaining a strong mind-muscle connection. This isn't theoretical. It's a toolkit for your very next workout.
Yeah, it's very actionable. And the techniques start right with the movement itself.
Yeah.
The most critical technique is, maybe unsurprisingly, to consciously focus on the muscle.
Yeah.
Sounds simple, but it means you have to actively visualize it working, contracting during the exercise.
Right.
So if you're doing a lat pull down, you need to see and feel the fibers of your back contracting, squeezing together as you pull, not just thinking about your hands pulling the handle down.
Got it. And I imagine hand in hand with that visualization is the need for slow and controlled movements.
Absolutely crucial. You have to perform exercises deliberately. The sources really hammer this point. Avoiding momentum to lift weights is key.
Why is momentum so bad for MMC?
Because momentum transfers tension away from the targeted muscle. It lets other muscles, or just, physics, do the work, which completely defeats the entire purpose of trying to connect with that specific muscle.
Okay, so the tension needs to stay locked onto the muscle fibers.
Exactly. And speaking of controlling the movement, we absolutely have to address breathing. The roadmap stresses mindful breathing. You need to pay close attention here. Exhaling during the most challenging part of the movement.
The lifting part.
Yes, the lifting, the concentric. And then inhaling during the release phase, the eccentric or lowering part.
Just to be crystal clear then, when we say challenging part, we're talking about that concentric portion, right? The part where the muscle shortens and you actually move the weight up against gravity.
Precisely. The concentric phase is the lifting, the shortening action, the squeeze. Yeah. And the eccentric phase, that's the release or lowering, when the muscle is lengthening under tension. You should be exhaling, maybe even forcefully, on that hard lift, and then controlling the inhale slowly on the eccentric release. This really helps maintain core stability and, crucially, focus.
Makes sense. Okay, moving beyond the immediate mechanics. The roadmap also talks about environment and preparation. Like, first, to maintain that mental link, you absolutely have to reduce distractions.
Oh, definitely.
So that means minimizing disruptions, right? Like checking your phone between sets, chatting constantly, watching the gym TVs. You need mental isolation to achieve muscle isolation, basically.
Yeah, you can't be mentally multitasking if you want this deep connection. It requires presence.
And even before you touch the weight, the sources recommend pre-workout visualization. Is this like mental rehearsal?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Mentally rehearse the movement and focus on that muscle contraction before you start the working set. It's like priming your neurological system. Imagine you're about to do a heavy squat.
Yeah.
You don't just walk up and grab the bar cold. You visualize the weight being supported, the core bracing, the legs driving through the floor. That brief, maybe 5-second mental rehearsal. It pays off in how well you recruit the muscles during the actual set.
That visualization primes the system, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Now, this deep focus requirement, it raises a really important question that listeners often ask. I hear this a lot.
Which is?
If I'm focusing so intensely on feeling the muscle, which usually means lifting slower and, let's be honest, often lighter weight, especially at first, am I sacrificing progressive overload, that cornerstone of getting stronger?
Yeah, that's a great question. The potential trade-off. How do the sources tackle that?
It's an excellent point of skepticism, and the sources clarify this really well, actually. The MMC roadmap includes 2 complementary steps here that work together. First, you must use proper form, regardless of the weight. Correct technique is absolutely essential because if your form breaks down, other muscles will inevitably take over to compensate.
And the connection is lost.
Instantly lost. So form is paramount. Second, the instruction to start with light weights is primarily for learning the movement pattern and learning the feeling of the connection. If you're a beginner or you're learning a complex new lift, you absolutely should start light to master the form and really feel that target muscle engagement before you start pushing the weight up.
So the connection itself is a skill.
It's totally a skill. It needs to be practiced and mastered, ideally with lower risk, meaning lighter weight initially. But once you master the feeling, once that connection is strong, you can incrementally add weight. And the MMC, that skill, goes with you. It optimizes the heavier lift.
Okay, so it's not about lifting light forever. It's about lifting heavy more efficiently once you have the skill.
Exactly. You're making the heavy weight work better for the target muscle.
That makes the whole process much more scalable then. It's like a progression system for your brain, not just your muscles.
Precisely. And like any skill, it requires practice. Consistency is absolutely paramount. The more you practice, the more you pay dedicated attention to your muscles during workouts, the stronger, more automatic that connection becomes.
Building a neurological habit.
You're building a neurological habit, yes.
Well.
And finally, the ultimate gauge, the feedback loop, is to listen to your body. You have to be attuned to that internal feedback. If you don't feel the target muscle contracting, or maybe you don't feel that satisfying burn after a set, something probably needs to change.
Like what?
Maybe adjust the weight slightly, refine your technique, tweak your posture, or even consider swapping the exercise for one where you can feel that connection snap into place.
Yeah.
You have to be responsive.
Okay, so if we tie all this back to the bigger picture, the fundamental takeaway seems pretty clear. The mind-muscle connection is defined by what? Proactive visualization, obsessive focus, deliberately slowing down the movement, consciously avoiding momentum, and basically leaving all your energy channeled specifically into the targeted muscle. It sounds like the difference between merely spending time at the gym and genuinely optimizing your body's adaptation process.
That really is the ultimate value proposition presented in the source material, isn't it? We all know time is valuable. None of us want to waste it. If you don't engage this conscious focus, if you just rely on inertia or habit, those 90 minutes you spend in the gym could genuinely lead to suboptimal results. It could be maybe not wasted, but certainly less effective.
Right.
MMC helps ensure you maximize the return on every single rep, transforming physical movement into intentional, targeted physiological change.
Making every minute count.
Making every minute count.
All right, and here's maybe something to mull over on your next set, a final thought. If enhanced concentration and presence are absolutely required for improving performance in the gym, if that enforced mindfulness can literally increase the activation of muscle fibers, how could this deliberate, intense focus translate outside the gym? Could it lead to better concentration, maybe better problem solving in other aspects of your daily life, like tackling complex work tasks or detailed study?
Interesting extension.
Consider MMC not just as a lifting technique, but maybe as training your mind to be powerfully focused, period, everywhere.